Let's get it, y'all. Good Friday, TGI Friday, Football Friday, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's Football Friday here on the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. 11th season, currently on several independent stations, including WQEE Atlanta, Georgia, and, of course, on Braves Country Radio, as we get you diving into your Friday night. God dog it. Braves are playing the Dodgers. We've got all kinds of college football kicking off tonight. And, of course, college football on Saturday, wall-to-wall, and the NFL. This is your betting show. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow where we do this a lot longer, the full betting show with all the guys. I just give you a handful of picks heading into your weekend. Let's get it. That are going to be, look, we're starting to get into the point of the football season. There's still about a week or so away where it really gets fun. These are the appetizers in the world of college football. We're starting to bleed into some conference play in college football. With the NFL, with the expansion of the schedule, we all know that you don't really get a figure out. You don't get a feel of what your team is, who they are, and where they need to go until about a month into the season now. You know, there was a time where every NFL game mattered, and there was a sense of urgency on every Sunday. Now, not so much with the expansion of the playoffs and a 17-game schedule. Look, really, it lends to probably why baseball is getting more and more popular on the streaming throughout the year, because now September, these games in the world of Major League Baseball are much more critical than any of the games being played in the National Football League or college football. So you're going to have the NFL. It'll start getting really nuts and bolts, white-knuckling into the month of October. And honestly, with college football, with the expansion of their playoffs to a ridiculous extent, you're not going to really know when teams are actually eliminated from real conference championship or at-large bids until probably mid to late October. The month of November, month of December in college football is going to be phenomenal. But until you get to that point, these games so the reason why I lay that out is because you got to take that with a grain of salt when you're talking about the betting world. When there is a situation in the world of betting, you're looking at the emotions and also how critical the games are for you. I'll give you an example. In the National Football League, I don't think CMC is sitting on the bench the first 2 games, maybe even 3 games plus of the NFL season, back when we had 14 games in the NFL, and only, 4 in each conference were making it to the playoffs. And then you go to the more modernized where you go to 16, and even still 6 teams on each side, 12 total in the National Football League are making. Well, now we've got 17 games, soon to be 18. The next CBA, you can book that. There's going to be 18 games. You're probably going to get rid of all the preseason games. You might have 1 warm-up game. And probably, and it will be needed. I still think it's needed now, a second bye week. But then you're really going to get to the point where you're like, all right, when do we start worrying about if we're 0-2? I don't think it's a panic button in the NFL. 0-3, you don't love it. You really don't love it. I love it. 0-4, 0-5, that's when the panic button pushes. So the first game of the season, it's really turning into a preseason game that you hope to win, but it's not the end of the world if you do not. And same thing with week 2, week 3, week 4. Same thing in college football. Alabama goes to Wisconsin this weekend. Alabama loses that game. Who cares? Really? I mean, really, it is a non-factor. Alabama could lose that game and still get a bye because it's not a conference game. Does Alabama want to lose a game? Of course not. But it's not what it looks like in the big picture. Now, look, we do the full show on Saturday mornings. You need to go to Braves Country Radio. You can watch it on Facebook. You can watch it on YouTube. Braves Country Radio. That's all you need to remember. You watch it live, me and the guys with our picks. I'm off to a scalding hot start if I do say so myself. And pretty proud of the start because we know losing streaks happen in the world of betting, but so far, so good. Last week went 5-1 on the Saturday shows. On the Friday show, I am now a total of 9-3. And along with the preseason and the regular season, the two shows combined, I am 25-4. I know it's unheard of. I can't even believe it. I keep waiting for it. All right, here it comes. Here comes the losing streak. But 25-4. By the way, last week on the show, Bobby also went 4-2. None of us said our stupid underdogs. If you're not familiar with what that is, you just have to tune into the show. It's one of the more fun ones that we do. But as far as the locks go, Bobby won his lock. I am 3-0 in locks now, by the way. So if you're out there playing around the sports gambling world, you need to tune into Braves Country Radio on Saturday mornings. That's all I can tell you. Ran into a guy on Tuesday. I'm a chef during the day. And sports talk radio any other time. And I ran into a guy that I told him about the channel, and he works in the world of finance, and he said, well, I don't really bet that much, but I got a lot of guys that I work with huge into sports betting. I go, okay. I forgot about it. He comes back in on Tuesday. He lives down in Miami. Anyways, the short of it, he goes, hey, by the way, I told my guys about your show, and they are hooked. They were praising about a couple of my picks. One of them was the stupid underdog where they went money line on the Vanderbilt win. So it's always good to see the Braves Country Radio family grow. But I also like to see I want people who listen to our show to be successful with their bets. That's what we're here for. And you don't have to take our picks. Just take them into consideration. And look, if one of our guys on the show is hot, obviously, you're going to pay more attention to his picks. One of our guys is cold. Hell, maybe you just bet against him. But we are going into week number 2 of the National Football League, essentially week 3 in college football. It's so confusing with that week 0 nonsense. And away we go. Now, on the Friday show, I give you basically the headline games that I like. And I'm going to give you an MLB bet today. But basically what you're looking at is I'm not going to give you the games on Friday that are not necessarily headliners. Obviously, almost all NFL games are headliners. But in the world of college football, our deeper dives come on the Saturday show. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. Let's get into the first pick of the – you know what, the first pick of the night, I'm going to go ahead and go – with the world of Major League Baseball, get that one out of the way. The Braves and Dodgers are set to start a 4-game series in Atlanta. And the Braves offense, I know they show flashes of brilliance, but all in all, the Braves offense has been terrible. By the way, that game's going to be on Apple TV tonight. So if you don't have Apple TV, jump on over to Braves Country Radio, YouTube. We give you pitch-by-pitch, play-by-play, and we give you the 3D effect, too, so you do see – well, if you haven't checked it out, just check us out. It's a pretty fun, neat way to consume the game. So it's Landon Knack. He's 2-3 with the 3 ERA going up against Schwellenbach, who's been phenomenal. He had a rough outing last time out, but I believe in Spencer. And the big thing that I like in this play, now all in all, I would like to take the Dodger under for the entire game, which depending on the books, 5.5 or 6.5. But I'm going to go with the first 5 innings, under 3.5 runs. Spencer will pitch well. I don't think he's going to shut out the Dodgers, but I do think that he'll keep the run number under 3. Remember, most of these Dodgers, they're going to be seeing Spencer Schwellenbach up close and personal for the first time, and he is a guy that if he's on, really hard to hit. And I think he'll rise to the occasion. Like I said, he had a rough outing last weekend. That's the bumps and bruises of being a starter, a rookie starter, and a rookie starter who has a very short knowledge base of not just pitching in the major leagues, but pitching in general. Remember, he was a shortstop coming out of college who had done some relief pitching. But the Braves brought him in after his injury and drafting him in 2021. They developed him as a pitcher. He's got very little pitching experience, and he's done phenomenal. It's turned into my favorite day of the week is the Spencer Schwellenbach day. Don't get me wrong, love watching Chris Sale. He's been phenomenal. But you know who Chris Sale is, and unless he just absolutely has a terrible night, you know what to expect from Chris Sale. With Schwellenbach, you're seeing a kid grow. So give me the Dodgers to be under the 3.5 runs mark. But realize with the Braves having the day off yesterday, the bullpen's going to be rested. So I don't hate the play on taking the Dodgers under for the entire game. I'm just cutting it off at the pass in the 5th inning because I do think that the Braves will it's going to be a tight game. I don't like the line one way or the other. Don't ask me about this. Who do you like to win? I'm telling you, our pick is the under first 5 innings. Okay, next one up on the docket. Now we go to the world of college football, and in the world of college football, we've got a pretty juicy matchup tonight. And you love to see this because what you're seeing is the great thing about the expansion of the power conferences. And I hope we continue to get it. Give me less conferences and more teams in all of them. We're going to get less of the Bobo games, and we're going to get more of the fun matchups. Fun matchup tonight. Big 12, Arizona, Kansas State. It's a Fox game. 8 p.m. kickoff. I love the fact that Fox is doing this. They're taking charge of the Friday night. People wouldn't do it for years, and I've stood on this soapbox for years. Well, you can't take away from the high school football, blah, 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 blah. Not that much of the country, of the population, the percentage of the population, goes and consumes high school football. There's not a lot of Al Bundys out there who still live vicariously through their high school football days. So if you're at a high school football game, either A, you currently go to the school, you play in the game, your kid plays in the game, or a close relative. Other than that, most folks don't sit, like this isn't the 1960s and 70s, early 80s where you didn't have all these options. Most folks don't sit in the damn bleacher of their high school alma mater watching their team play and rooting them on game after game after game. If you do, that's fine. Have at it. You really should enjoy it. If it's what brings you joy, I get it. But most folks don't do it. Conference after conference is laid down, spit the bit. Last Friday we got the NFL on a Friday night game. NFL took advantage of it. College football needs to start taking advantage of it, or they're going to get squeezed out on Friday nights. I've said this for years. College football needs to own Friday and Saturday night football. Give the Thursday night game to the NFL. Screw it. You have it. You won. We're done. But invade Friday night with not just one game. Give us several good games. And you can do it. It can be done. And tonight it's Arizona, Kansas State. I love this game. I'm going to take a teaser on this game. I do think that Arizona is going to have a hard time moving the ball on Kansas State. And Kansas State will be able to control the ball on the ground. Now, they're both undefeated, but realize Arizona really hasn't been tested. Kansas State had a scare last week. I get that. But it was on the road, and Tulane is not exactly a terrible football program. I'm going to take Kansas State, tease it down to the money line, which you can do, and get the under to 67.5 now. It's now 67.5. So 67.5, a teaser, 6.5, whatever you got to do. Get it to where all you need Kansas State to do is win. So if you're seeing the line and it's up to 7, all right, fair enough. Take a 6.5 teaser, and then you would also up the under. I just don't think they're going to score that many points in this game. For that to happen, I believe it would have to go to overtime. You can't bet on overtime, so you got to take it with the fact that Kansas State's at home. They ought to be able to control the clock and control the ball. Give me the Kansas State Wildcats to win the game and the over-under to stay under 67.5. Saturday, there's the Alabama-Wisconsin game. I know someone's taking that tomorrow, so I'm leaving that one alone. But I am going to go to a college football game that I think most folks in this area are very interested in. We stay in the top 25. We go to the Southeastern Conference. Hunker down, you hairy dogs. And we're looking at Georgia, who is going into the Kentucky game. In Kentucky, it is a 24.5-point spread on Kentucky. And it's not that I don't think Georgia can win the game by 4 or 5 touchdowns. Georgia's phenomenal. But Kentucky tends to play them very well, very tight, very close. Kentucky is one of those teams that, especially in the Bluegrass State, a night game, ABC, all the hype. Kentucky's coming off a loss, so you're getting the recency bias on the spread. And so that's why I'm going with the Kentucky Wildcats. Give me the Kentucky Wildcats to cover the 24.5-point spread. That's a huge spread. Give me the Wildcats to get that one. So far we got the Dodgers under 3.5 tonight. Kansas State money line under 67.5 total teaser, and the Kentucky Wildcats plus 24.5 at home. Hey, Braves Country, this is Mac McGee with Braves Country Radio. We are bringing you pitch by pitch, play-by-play of your Atlanta Braves all year long. Please like and subscribe today. It's free, and it helps us bring you more of the game we all love. Braves Country Radio, your home for the classic call of Braves Country Baseball. I was on the fence about the Monday night game, mainly because I don't want to pull against Atlanta. But look, the Falcons have looked terrible offensively. Now, once again, it's the first game of the season. Okay, whoopity-doo. It'll be fine. They'll figure it out. But you got to take advantage of what the lines are showing you right now. Right now, Philadelphia is a 6-point favorite. You might see that line go one or two ways. I think you're more likely to see it go in the direction of the Eagles, so 6.5 to 7. So if you want to grab the game, I suggest doing it now, not later. But the Eagles are going to take a 6-point favorite at home against the Falcons. Eagles look pretty darn good, and they got a couple extra days to prepare for it. Falcons' offense looked atrocious at best. I did not understand why in God's name we didn't get Kirk Cousins playing at all in the preseason, and it looked like it. They lost 18-10. It wasn't even that pretty. It was a terrible offensive performance. I don't think they're going to be able to hang with Philadelphia. Philadelphia will put enough points on the board to win by 2 touchdowns plus, somewhere in the 12 to 17-point range. Give me the Eagles to go to 2-0, the Falcons to go to 0-2, but more importantly, the only thing we care about on this show, give me the Eagles -6. Next game on the docket. I'm kind of going backwards on this, but that's okay. Sunday night. The Sunday night game. This is another one. Kind of a head-scratcher to me. Now, sometimes when you think things are too good, they normally are too good. But this one I don't believe is. The Houston Texans are a 6-point favorite at home against the Chicago Bears. The Texans are at home. It's a Sunday night NBC game. It's the first home game for Houston. The first road game for rookie Caleb Williams. I don't see a path where the Bears keep this within a touchdown. So with that being said, give me the Texans to cover this spread at 6 at home against Chicago. And my last one, this is going to be a game where I believe these are two teams that looked a little lost. Browns all day long looked lost. The Jaguars couldn't get anything accomplished. They couldn't finish. They should have won that game against the Dolphins. They did everything they could to implode. Big lead on the road. You don't start fumbling the ball inside the red zone. That's number one. Not only do you not do that, but you don't go for it on 4th down on your own 30 when you're leading by a field goal in the 4th quarter. Peterson he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. I think these two teams will fumble around, stumble around, bumble around in the first half. So I like the Jacksonville-Cleveland game to go under the 22.5 points in the first half. I don't see a situation where this – look, the total is 41.5. You can get it 42.5 in a lot of instances. I just don't see a situation where these two teams are going to be out in a shootout in the first half. I think it's going to be like a boxing match where you're going to be kind of feeling each other out. So give me the first half under 22.5. So real quick recap, Texans -6, Philly -6, Jacksonville under 22.5, the Jacksonville-Cleveland game total under 22.5 in the first half. If you missed the first part of the show, Kansas State money line winner under 67.5 total teaser, Kentucky plus 24.5, getting the 24.5 at home against Georgia, and the Dodgers to score 3 runs or less in the first 5 innings against the Braves. Once again, we're 9-3 on these picks here on Football Friday. Let the good times roll. Let's hope they continue. And y'all have a great weekend, a great football weekend. We'll see you next Football Friday.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man with a cool one in his head. Yeah, the armchair quarterback. He's kind of fun and he's kind of fat. The all-American man with a cool one in his head.
Good morning. How are you, Doug? Doug, you got to unmute yourself, son. I sent you 2 messages.
I know you did. I know. Got you.
Unfreaking believable. How are you?
Good.
Did you catch any of the action last night?
Not a lot. I had to work last night a lot, so I was just listening on the radio.
Man, I'll tell you what, that Kansas State team, man, they took it to Arizona. I caught quite a bit of that game, or at least the tail end of it, after Braves Dodgers broadcast, and I didn't expect to hit the number that big. I thought it'd be a little closer, but they absolutely dominated. It's funny, I was listening to a national pundit. If you remember the Bear that used to be on ESPN that decided to go to Fox Sports, and his career is absolutely tanked. But anyways, him and his guys were all on the over on that game, and I just kept thinking to myself, I was like, well, maybe I made a bad play. I don't know, because I'd already sent the show to WQE in Atlanta when I was listening to this late Friday morning. I was like, well, whatever. It's not like I can change it now. And I'm watching this thing unfold. I'm like, man, they're not even moving the ball on Kansas State. These guys fell in love with the first couple of weeks where Arizona played absolutely nobody. And you have to understand that when you're watching college football and handicapping college football, you got teams like Miami who have not been at all challenged, have not played a real team yet. And if you fall in love with how much they beat up on FAMU, and I forget who they're playing today, like, Abilene Christian, Blind College, whatever the hell they're doing. When they get into the actual the nuts and bolts of their entire conference schedule, it's going to be a shock to the system, and that's where you can take advantage. Miami is still a solid team, I believe, but they're not as impressive as one may think because they have yet to play somebody. So when you see that and you see the score today and you see how much, they should run away with their game, just keep in mind when they actually start playing real competition, because I don't think Florida's anywhere close to real competition. When they get into their ACC conference play, there's going to be an opportunity to jump on those lines. Not this week. This week, like I said, I forget who they're playing. I'll have to scroll down, but it's someone. It's 2 weeks in a row that they're playing.
I think they're playing. Aren't they playing Ball State or?
Yeah, Ball State, 3:30. And you can tell it's a bad week in college football because the Ball State game is actually on the ACC network. Typically, that game wouldn't be anywhere. They wouldn't be having anywhere, but it is on the ACC network today. So, other than that, the world of baseball last night. Oh, we also had a no-hitter last night. The Detroit Tigers, for those who might have missed it, the Detroit Tigers got one out away from having a no-hitter. They did hold on and beat Baltimore 1-0, but they were one out away from a combined no-hitter.
Yeah.
Which would have been huge for the Tigers. Look, they're still flailing around in the playoff race. Take a look at the MLB real quick before we jump into the world of football. But they're still kind of messing around in the playoff race, where you've got the wild card. Last time I checked, let's see what the movement is this morning. The wild card in the American League, the Detroit Tigers are now just 2.5 back of the Twins for the final wild card spot. Mariners are 3.5 back, and Red Sox 4.5 back. I mean, that would be an enormous thing if the Detroit Tigers were to make the wild card.
Yeah, and with the Twins seemingly being victims to the Reds, that's a very good possibility they may overtake.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a good chance that, first of all, the Red Sox are really starting to spin towards the drain. They're now 4.5 back, and they are unbelievable ways to lose to their Yankees in this series that they're having. Last night there was the grand slam late. Before that, they had the late inning heroics of the night before. Looking at the American League wild card, Orioles 4.5 in front of the final wild card, so they're getting in. Kansas City 2.5. They should get in. What it looks like is it'll be Kansas City, as long as Kansas City continues to play good baseball. It'll be Kansas City at Baltimore for the first wild card round, and then Minnesota would most likely go to, as it stands right now, they would go to the Astros. Astros 79 wins, Cleveland 84, and the Yankees 86. Orioles are 3 games back of the Yankees for the division. They could still get that division, but they got a couple of critical series coming up that they're going to have to play really well. And honestly, with the injuries that Baltimore's had, much like Atlanta, they haven't played great baseball recently. So I don't have a lot of faith that they're going to run down the Yankees and catch them for the division. But there is still a little over 2 weeks left.
Yeah, anything's possible. But unfortunately, Baltimore is playing real flat.
Well, let's not say anything's possible. There's no way in God's green earth Milwaukee's losing the NL Central. They've got a 10-game lead. Wow. They're there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with the Brewers and Milwaukee. All season long, this team has found a way to win. And like I said, coming to the end of the season, I still can't explain what makes them go, but they go.
Well, I can tell you this because we've talked about this on the Braves Country Today. If you look at the Milwaukee Brewers, the biggest difference in their team since the beginning of the year to where we are now, their bullpen is now second in all of baseball, and they took a huge jump with that. A huge jump. Their bullpen since, I believe it's May 1st or May 10th, it's somewhere in that neighborhood, it's the best bullpen in baseball. And they are doing, I would say, for lack of a better analogy, they are the Tampa Bay Rays of 2024. They're a team that has a couple of good bats. They're a team that has solid starting pitching, but nothing outstanding. But their bullpen is lights out. Looking at the National League wild card race, because the divisions are all but over, you still have an outside chance that in the National League West, if the Dodgers were to absolutely fall flat on their face, the Padres or Diamondbacks could catch them. But in all likelihood, it's Dodgers, it's Phillies, it's Brewers in some kind of order. And as right now, as we start this morning, the Phillies and Dodgers have the two best records, not just in the National League, but in Major League Baseball, with 88 and 87 wins, respectively. Dodgers a game back of the Phillies. And then the Brewers are 2 games back of the Dodgers, 3 back of the Phillies. If the Phillies play around with the food, they might find themselves playing in that first round. Let's be honest. Because Milwaukee continues to play really good baseball. You know they want that bye. They've seen what it's like to play in that first round. They got knocked out last year in the first round by Arizona. And so if the Phillies, I mean, they got smoked last night by the Mets. That was downright embarrassing.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Did you catch any of that game?
I caught the tail end of it, and then I watched the replay a little later on.
I mean, to be at home in that game with Aaron Nola on the mound against the Mets and Quintana and get absolutely just obliterated. They ended up losing 11-3. It was the 3 runs that the Phillies scored were in the 9th inning when the game was out of hand.
Yeah.
That's not how you show up in September baseball at home. And it's not like they've got this big lead and they're not playing for anything. The Phillies want home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
But the Phillies, that's the thing too. They act like they've already won, and the Phillies are famous for that. They kind of just cruise and go into this kind of cruise mode when this is the time to play at your best, because the Phillies act like it's all over with yet. Like they're seeking their magic number and that's it. And I think before this is all over, we got 2 weeks left. I could see it biting them in the butt.
Yeah, I could too. There's what they are finding out. What is happening to the Philadelphia Phillies is what has happened to the Atlanta Braves the last couple of years, where you grind and grind and grind. You get to the end, and can you stay hot? Because in today's Major League Baseball, that's what you're looking at. Can you stay hot? Because when they come into the playoffs, and let's say they do get the first round bye, whether they home field or not, whether they're the 1 or 2 seed, irrelevant. And you get that 5-6 day layoff, which I still think is atrocious. Even with the fact that the Braves are no longer going to get that bye, I still think it's terrible for baseball. But you sit around for a week, your bats get ice cold. And there have been teams that have been able to get through it. You know, you look at what the Astros have been able to do, but realize one of those series, the Astros, the Astros played Seattle in one of those series. They were low scoring affairs that the Astros ended up. In fact, I remember one game which like 17, 18 innings, right? So it wasn't like that their bats were actually hot. It was the fact that they were playing the pathetic Mariners, who could not score a damn run any time of the year, much less in October.
Yeah.
Braves get a big win last night against the Dodgers. They are still a game back because the Mets did their thing, but they did creep up a little closer. If you look at the wild card standings right now, the Braves are now just 2 back of the Arizona Diamondbacks and 2.5 back of San Diego. San Diego did win, but Arizona lost to Milwaukee. And Milwaukee may be the Atlanta Braves' best friend over the last couple of weeks, because Milwaukee Brewers are playing Arizona. Remember, they finished the season at home against the New York Mets. And my hope is that they're still playing for something. If they're still playing for something, we're going to have that in our back pocket. If they've already wrapped everything up, then you probably figure they're going to play hard Friday and Saturday night, and then they're going to probably rest guys on Sunday. So you can't let it go to the last game because of that factor. Real quick before the rest of the guys jump in here, how about Ellie Dela Cruz in that grand slam?
I'm loving it. And still, here we come to the season, and I still say the kid hasn't even reached all of his potential. It's just fun to watch. It's one of the few happy moments this season that we've had. Is just watching this kid develop.
Yeah, he, you would have liked to seen them turn it on before this final 2 weeks of the season, but you can see it's the reason why I took the Reds to win the division beginning of the year, because I thought the Reds were going to be playing lights out all year long. It's what we saw last year. Felt like they just ran out of calendar. This year, the calendar jumped on them way early, and the Reds have got some things to figure out. But it gets you excited about the 2025 season, does it not?
Oh, yeah. And the fact that you're watching them start a lot of these young guys, like Rhett Lauder, and bringing back Williamson to pitch. This is just an audition for next year, and I think that's why they may be winning too. They have nothing to lose, so they're just going out and playing baseball. Did we not just recently sweep the Braves? How could you think that?
All right, we're going to step aside for a second. Steven and Bobby are joining us as we'll get everything set up and ready to roll as Cover Country coming your way. Let's get it.
We are live in Tallahassee, the capital of the great state of Florida.
Hyperbole is done. Now we can finally play the game.
There's no law against scalping tickets in this part of the country, and premium prices have been paid.
It is the third Saturday in October, and the show is on one more time in Knoxville, Tennessee.
All right, here we go. 56-yarder. Does not have the leg. And Chris Davis takes it in the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game.
They're still in deep trouble in midfield. They tackle him. The ball is still loose as they get it to Rogers. They give it back now to the 30. They're down to the 20. Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. He's got it in the end zone. But the bands are out on the field. There were flags all over the place. The most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heartrending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California.
In trouble in the backfield, wants to throw now, and he's going to go deep. And I mean deep, and I mean touchdown, Florida! Tyree Cleveland in a miracle finish. A Hail Mary that's full of grace for the Gators. It's a 31-30 game, and what are they doing?
I have not seen the kicker come on the field, and I don't think he's coming on the field. Tom Osborne made this decision a long time ago. He's decided to go for two and take his shot and win, and I commend him for it.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska. Incomplete.
Here come the Seminoles of Florida State. One of the great traditions in college football. And Chief Osceola ready to get it started. College football. A matchup from the state of Florida.
Moody flush, throws it down. Caught by Boston College. I don't believe it.
Buck back, third down on the 8. In trouble. Got a block behind him. Going to throw on a run. Complete to the 25. To the 30. Lindsey's got 35, 40. Lindsey's got 45, 50, 45, 40. Run, Lindsey. 25, 20, 50, 10, 5. Lindsey stop. Lindsey stop. Lindsey stop. Well, I can't believe it. 92 yards, and Lindsey really got in a foot race. I broke my chair. I came right through a chair, a metal steel chair with about a 5-inch cushion. I broke it. The booth came apart. The stadium fell down. Now they do have to renovate this thing. They'll have to rebuild it now. I didn't mean to beg Lindsey to run, but I had to. You know, this game has always been called the world's greatest cocktail party. Do you know what is going to happen here tonight and up at St. Simon's and Jekyll Island and all those places? Man, is there going to be some property destroyed tonight.
Welcome in, Stephen Trosch and Bobby. How are you?
Doing well. How about you guys?
There we go. We'll get this going here. Stephen, how are you today, sir?
I mean, aside from possibly his last down in the NFL, couldn't be better.
Possibly what? You cut out.
Playing his last down in the NFL.
Who's that?
Tua.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, I think he'll come back, but man, like you've seen the calls everywhere for him to just retire and focus on his health. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
We'll see how he's diagnosed, but I would tend to think he will play again this year. But how many concussions is this for him now? 17, 18? 3? Okay.
At least in the NFL. I'm not sure of his college history.
I think it's 4 in the last 3 years. Last year he went without one at all. But I think that.
You know what I want to know? Why was he not wearing the damn cap thing that they can wear?
That's a good question.
Of all the guys, they should have made that mandatory.
Well,
what the hell? I mean, what are they doing?
And I know he got concussed running headfirst into Hamlin, so it was a little bit of a different situation. But in the past, when he goes down, it seems like he doesn't know how to brace himself when he falls, and his head just whips back onto the turf every time he falls. It's pretty bizarre.
Well, I mean, that one, he got crunched before he ever. I mean,
This one was different. He ran head first into someone this time, so not much you could have done about it here. But
I don't know what he's doing running to begin with, right? It's like, dude, you obviously can't take a hit. Quit freaking sticking your neck out there.
Yeah.
And what sucks for the Dolphins is that they made that financial commitment for them. If you want to look at the business side and not the human element side.
Yeah.
And now what the hell do you do? Because Thompson came in and played the other night. He ain't it. I mean, that guy's a disaster. Which I think we already knew, but going forward, do you think the keys are given to Thompson, Stephen, or do you think they try to sign someone off the street or what?
I mean, McDaniel has already come out and said they are signing someone else. We just don't know if that's going to be someone that is going to there to start or just kind of back up Thompson and just kind of, be there in case.
Is Thompson the same kid that started in the playoffs with them a couple years ago against Buffalo?
Yes.
Okay. I thought that was him, but I was watching it the other night. I was like, man, I remember him being better. But then again, he had a whole week to prepare and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see how he does. But there's also the outside chance that they make a trade, right?
One name I've seen agency does a nice homecoming for Ryan Tannehill. I know he's old and he did not look the best at in his last gig in Tennessee, but
no, but he's better than what you got, right?
Yeah.
Assuming that he's kept himself in shape. I don't hate that idea. He's a guy that can distribute the ball. You're not going to run the same kind of offense. You're not going to go out there and just sling it, 40 times, 50 times a game in any given Sunday. You're going to have to ride the running game a little bit. But if you can get the ball in space to guys like Waddle and Hill, you can still have a productive season.
Yeah. I mean, like it wouldn't change much. This is a run first offense at its core. So, I mean, you never know. Like you saw Flacco step in last year and transform that Browns offense. So,
yeah, I mean, isn't Flacco still available?
No, he's
he signed
with Indy. I think he's the backup in Indianapolis.
Okay. Well, maybe a trade. Well, I don't know if you're gonna make a trade for Flacco. You're what are you giving up for that, right? You're like, okay. But you got to figure there's got to be a couple of veterans out there that preferably are somewhat familiar with Mike's system already, right? You don't get a full training camp to get someone to you don't need them to know the full playbook at the beginning, but you don't want them to absolutely have to start from scratch if it's not necessary.
Please God, don't trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. That's all I ask.
That's immediately what my mind went to. You said someone familiar with McDaniel's offense.
Yeah.
Where is he at? Is he still
in the Rams?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Jimmy G's with the Rams.
Yeah. I don't think
they would. Stetson Bennett.
No.
On the practice squad. I mean, I guess you could go ahead and go grab Gardner Minshew. The Raiders season's over with, isn't it?
Yeah, you can have him for a box of frozen pizza. I care.
Hey, buddy, when you hire the coach because he's their locker room guy, this is what you end up with.
Yep.
Oh, we've been talking about this since last season. I know.
I cannot believe that the Raiders allowed themselves to be strong-armed by players on who their coaching hire would be, saying if they don't hire this guy, I'm out. That's just.
Yeah, I thought that was ridiculous too.
I can't believe that I listened to Doug and put money on the damn Raiders last weekend. That was the one damn thing that I was like, all right, Doug knows his Raiders. He knows the Charger rivalry. And I sprinkled some on the Raiders, and I was like, this did not go well. This did not go well at all. Anywho, all right, let's go ahead and get into it because we're going to run out of time here. A lot to do and a little time to do it. Let's go ahead and get into our college football picks. The college football picks first, and then, of course, we'll dive into the rest. And I'm going to get the new updated records here on the board. What game are y'all most excited about for today's actions? Let's start with you, Bobby.
Mostly because there's not really any huge ranked matchups going on this week. I'm mostly excited for Florida A&M. I wanted to see another week of Lagway, and I wanted to see him against good competition, but Graham Mertz is back. We'll see how that plays out. And Texas A&M's quarterback situation is shaky as well. So, I don't know. It's a winnable game for both teams.
What about you, Steve?
I mean, I don't think there's many ranked matchups, but the one I do have circled is Boston College versus Missouri. Bill O'Brien looks like he's transformed that Boston College program going into Columbia. I think it's going to be a shootout and it's going to be a close game.
And Dougie Fresh, what about you?
I'm kind of excited seeing Tulane play Oklahoma.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Tulane can do it back to back weeks and put up. A lot of times when you've gotten hyped up and you lose a game like that, and then you got to go on the road, it can be a tough beat that your kids don't get over. But then again, Oklahoma has not looked very good so far. Oklahoma, I know one thing: Oklahoma better to get it together before SEC play. They come in today a 12.5-point favorite over Tulane. Preseason, that line was 17, 18 points.
That was 13 last night.
And Notre Dame, speaking of another team that is not
that was man, that was the underdog pick of the week last week.
Yeah, that was a disaster.
Yeah, that's horrible to watch.
Notre Dame goes to Purdue, and that's not a gimme. Now, it's only a 7.5-point spread, but Purdue at home. Notre Dame's look. I don't think Notre Dame can lose another game the rest of the way. I was listening to is it Nestler that does the Notre Dame games now? I think that's where he landed at. But he was being interviewed this morning about Notre Dame, and he was giving, the most down the line answer you can give. Because, well, if they want to buy, they can't lose another game, but basically saying that they could absorb another loss and still make the plus. I don't think they can, because Notre Dame at 10-2 with their schedule, how bad their schedule is this year, I think it's a wrap. Their one signature win was going to be Texas A&M, and we don't even know how good Texas A&M is. They're heading to Florida this week. Well, let's go ahead and get into our picks. You see the records on the screen. We'll go ahead and pull that off so everyone can see y'all's pretty faces. All right. Look, what we're going to do with these picks, college football, we're going to make a pick and go around and round and round we go. And so, Doug, I'll give you first dibs on the picks of the week. Now, we can mirror each other's picks, just to let everybody know. This isn't like the stupid underdog pick where if you make a call, that's it. But preferably, we're not all like taking the same losing pick every week. All right. Doug, what you got?
First game, probably a game that nobody cares about, but I kind of find fascinating, is North Texas at Texas Tech. I think this is I said North Texas against Texas Tech.
Okay. And do us a favor and remember, y'all, to give the times of these games, because when people are looking at their app, that's what they're doing. They're scrolling through trying to find the times.
Okay.
So North Texas, Texas Tech?
Yep. I think Texas Tech is a fraud this season. I don't think they can stop anybody, and they barely have any offense. So this is definitely an upset pick. I think they're plus. I think it's.
10.
I'm taking plus 10.
Yep, that's what I'm showing. Plus 10, yep. And that's at noon Eastern. All right, Steven, what you got?
My first one, noon, like early game. College game day is in Columbia, South Carolina. I like the Gamecocks to cover the 6 points. LSU offense has not looked their best so far. And that South Carolina defense they're looking like something fierce. That pass rush is going to get after Nussmeier, and I'm not sure if they're going to win that game, but I think they have a real shot of pulling off the upset.
So LSU, okay, you're saying covering, but covering. All right, gotcha.
South Carolina plus 6.
South Carolina plus 6. You know who had that on their bingo card, that South Carolina would be within a touchdown spread in week 3 against LSU?
Yeah.
Bobby, what you got?
Well, I'm actually going to clash with Steven here. I got LSU minus 6.
Here we go.
I know there isn't a lot of confidence in LSU right now, and that's understandable, but I'm also not going to go riding high on South Carolina because of their first 2 wins of the season, one being against a terrible Kentucky team. I know their pass rush is good, especially that freshman. That kid's ridiculous. But I think they've got too much talent. I think they'll put it together. I don't think it'll be a super high-scoring game. I think they might have to grind out a win, but I do think they'll cover. So I'm going to go LSU minus 6.
Let me ask y'all something. That game last week, South Carolina, just pounding the hell out of Kentucky. I don't know where no one saw that coming. Do you think that could have been a look ahead for Kentucky, or is South Carolina that much better than Kentucky?
I think I'm not super big on either team. I don't think Kentucky's all that good this year. I think it could have been a look ahead, but yeah, I do think there was a pretty big discrepancy on South Carolina being quite a bit better.
All right, my first pick of the day, I'm going to take the Wisconsin Badgers to score under the 17.5 team total against Alabama. If you ask me which one to take, I'd probably take Alabama minus the 16.5 point spread, but I'm hedging my bet that Wisconsin's just not going to move the ball very well. Wisconsin, I'll tell you something else that I like. I'm not taking it as a pick, but the first half total, you can get it somewhere usually like around 25-ish, I believe is what it is, 24.5, somewhere in that number. Taking the under on that because it's a noon kickoff. Alabama has not looked great offensively. I think it's going to take them a few quarters to get going. I don't think they're ever going to be in real danger of losing that game with Wisconsin. And you're going to be like, oh, Wisconsin's 2-0. Wisconsin hasn't been challenged. It is in Wisconsin, so that's the only reason why I think they could cover the spread. But I just think I don't think Wisconsin's offense is going to get anything going against Alabama. So that's my first pick. Doug, what you got?
I got a game. Another little small game that I care about, just having family in Ohio, is you've got Miami, Ohio playing Cincinnati today. Miami, Ohio is a rebuilding team. And I'm kind of looking for the upset here. I got Miami, Ohio winning plus.
Doug, you're cutting out. Say it again, sir.
I said I've got Miami, Ohio winning this game. Upset. I'm taking them +3 against.
What time is that game?
That is, I believe that's one. I think
Doug.
It's a noontime game.
All right. So you're taking Miami of Ohio?
Yeah, Miami, Ohio +3. It's just a great college football game. You know, it's a great straight rivalry.
Does this have anything to do with the fact that you're a Cincinnati Reds fan?
It might be, but I'm rooting for the Akron team. So.
No, I'm just saying we got a Battle of Ohio. And Doug's like,
remind me.
Are you from Ohio originally? I can't remember why you're a Reds fan.
My dad's side of the family was all from Ohio. I lived there for a little while when I was a kid before I ended up in North Carolina.
Gotcha.
But okay. He was always big on that rivalry too.
Heard. Steven, what you got?
I'm gonna go to the night game. I'm looking at prime time. UCF playing TCU. UCF is currently a 2.5 point underdog. I like them to cover this week and even to win. They looked fantastic last week versus Sam Houston. I love the direction of that program. They've been like this team that's good for years now. I like them to cover and to win +2.5 right now.
What's the line again? 2.5. And that is, did you say 7:30 Eastern?
7 Eastern.
7 Eastern, excuse me.
It is 7:30 on Fox.
Okay. But it's 7 o'clock everywhere else?
No, 7:30 Eastern.
You confuse the hell out of me with that. No, it's 7 o'clock, but it is 7:30 on Fox.
Yeah.
What is that, a 30-minute delay over there? Get it together, Fox Sports. All right. Okay, so we got Steven taking UCF, and you're basically saying that you'd probably take the money line too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I've heard that as a popular one. I'm excited to see that game. I have not watched these two teams play. I have looked at the box scores and all that kind of stuff, but actually physically sit down and watch it. I'm excited for that one. I love the fact that Fox is really diving in to the college football world and giving you stuff to watch, like last night's game with Washington State. Not Washington State. Kansas State and Arizona. It didn't end up being as good a game as one would have hoped, but still they're putting conference games on a Friday night where used to all you ever had was an ESPN game between like Yale and Harvard. And it's fun to see. I hope more college football teams do this in the future, but take advantage of the fact that nothing to watch on Friday night other than your baseball team in the fall. There's nothing to watch on Friday night. Okay, Bobby, what you got?
My second one, I'm going to the Boston College Missouri game, the only ranked game of the week, I believe. And I'm going to go the over 52.5 total points in this game. Both teams put up big points in their first 2 games of the season. Both teams have looked solid so far. Like Trosch said, Bill O'Brien's got Boston College headed in the right direction. And Missouri looks like they could be a legitimate powerhouse in college football this year. I think either if this is a close game, if it's a shootout, then it goes over. Or if Missouri stomps them and wins by 30, then they go over. So either way, I see this game going over the point total here at 52.5. And that game is at 12:45.
12:45 kickoff.
Sure.
I'm excited to see what that game ends up being all in all, because we don't really know how good Boston College is, because we don't really know how bad Florida State is, right?
Yeah.
And I do believe that Bill O'Brien has them much better coached.
Yeah.
So, earlier in the week, I got that line at plus 16.5. It's already dropped down 2 whole points. So I wouldn't suggest it now, but man, that is an enticing pick.
Mm-hmm.
If it was on the road, I'd be a little more inclined, but let me see here if anyone got any questions or comments. Not yet. We don't have any questions on any lines yet. Okay. I am going to go into the world of the Big Ten. I believe it's a noon kickoff. I haven't scribbled down there, but I may have made. Is it a noon kickoff? Let me double check this. It is. Big Ten Network, Michigan and Arkansas State. Michigan right now. What is the line? Yep, it's minus 22. That's even better. I had it on the earlier. It was 22.5. It is actually 24.5 at one point. Money keeps coming in on Arkansas State. I don't understand why. Michigan is embarrassed by that loss last week. They got dragged all over the field. Michigan is going to cover the spread, 22-point favorite at home. If it was a night game, I would be putting 2 units on this thing. But it's a noon game. You don't know if they went out there and did some keg stands last night, all that kind of nonsense. But I like the Michigan Wolverines to roll at home. Arkansas State, maybe it's because people look at their schedule and go, oh, man, they're 2-0. They beat Tulsa. They beat Central Arkansas. That's nothing to write home about, okay? So let's just pump the brakes on being impressed by a 2-0 Arkansas State team. Doug, it is back to you, my friend.
Right. My last one, let's see. Oh, my God, I can't read my writing. I think I mentioned this earlier. I mentioned Tulane at 12.5 over Oklahoma. Guy that already?
No.
Okay. Is that where you're going?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm taking that Tulane game. I think that's going to come down. That's going to be whoever wins, which Tulane is going to win. It's going to come down. It's going to be forced. Take the last 5 minutes to decide who wins that game.
Tulane plus 12.5.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a 3:30 kickoff.
Yep.
It's actually an ESPN kickoff. That's how you know that this isn't the biggest of college football weekends, when Tulane in Oklahoma is the 3:30 kickoff on ESPN.
They spelled the stadium name wrong on ESPN too.
I know. I saw that too.
What is it? Maybe
it's Memorial Stadium, but the O is a Q.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm saying O. They must have fixed
maybe
it.
They fixed it.
Well, maybe the Q's is a quandary on how good Oklahoma really is. They have not looked good so far.
No.
When Oklahoma goes into their conference play, man, all I know is they better get it together, because I know they're playing Tennessee. I was listening to a show earlier this week about that. It's in Oklahoma, but man, Tennessee looks phenomenal so far.
I'm wishing they were the team right outside on my playoff predictions, and I really wish I put them in, because I believed in that Nico kid, and so far I've been proven right. He looks legit.
Hey, I've got my little 20 spot on Tennessee to win the SEC.
There you go.
And right now it's going to pay $600. So
there you go.
I know it's still a long shot, but I put that down back in August, and I was thinking, all right, we'll see what it looks like. If they look like a disaster, maybe I cash out. They're actually offering me more money to cash out right now. That's not by much. I want to say it's like $21, but they're thinking, we made these lines way too high.
Yep.
So look, if they even get to the SEC title game, it's money well spent, because man, that's an entire football season of being able to pull for a team that there might be a carrot at the end, right?
Yep.
And I think there's a very good chance that they do make it. I don't think enough people are talking about Tennessee. Whose turn is it to pick? Is it
It is me, I believe.
Okay. What you got?
Oh, it's a good thing you brought up Tennessee, because I am liking them to cover the first half spread. They are 30.5-point favorites right now. Like you said, they are looking phenomenal this season. They have come out of the gate strong. Week 1 against Chattanooga, they were up 45-0 at halftime with a 24.5-point spread. Last week was a 4.5-point spread against NC State. They were up 20-3. They're at home this weekend. I love them to come out the gate strong again. So Tennessee first half minus 30.5. And I believe that is
people are paying attention to, because everybody's falling in love with watching I'm gonna leave you. That defensive front seven of Tennessee is pretty damn good. Yep. So I'm with you on that. I mean, you would think. I'm thinking it could be 42-0 at the half. Bobby, what you got?
Yeah. For my last one, I'm going to go with my Florida Gators here. I'm going to go with them +3 against A&M at 330. Connor Wigman, his situation's up in the air. I think he's a game-time decision. He has some upper body injury. And I know Florida's quarterback situation, as I mentioned earlier, is a little bit dodgy. But Graham Mertz is cleared. He's good to go. And if for some reason he goes out there and looks garbage, throws a couple picks early, they won't have a long leash on him before they put DJ Lagway in. And I like what I've seen so far with him. So I don't know. I think in the swamp, with Texas A&M's quarterback situation up in the air, I'm going to go with Florida to cover at +3.
All right, my last pick, I am going to take the Indiana Hoosiers to score over their team total of 23.5. You can get it as high as 24.5 and actually get a much better play at +105, but I'm going to do the -110 at 23.5. The Hoosiers are playing the UCLA Bruins. I think Steven and I both witnessed side by side how bad that damn team is. And I'm just assuming, look, they put 77 on the board last week. I would think Indiana can find a way to cross the 24. I honestly think that they're going to put 31 plus up. I believe that's a night game. It is at 7:30 at your Peacock game, 7:30 Eastern on NBC Peacock. Undefeated Indiana versus undefeated UCLA, but UCLA did not look good. All right, it's time for the world of fantasy football, as Steven is going to give us his DFS.
Fantasy football time. Fantasy football time.
All right, Steve, what you got on your DFS?
So this week, the main game I'm going to be targeting is 1 o'clock. Tampa Bay going into Detroit. We saw fireworks in the playoffs last season. So, we get a quick rematch. I'm going to go as my stack, Baker Mayfield at 5,900. He went for almost 30 points, 4 touchdowns last week against Washington. I'm going to be pairing him with Chris Godwin at 6,000. And on the other side at Detroit, I'm going to be pairing him with Amon-Ra St. Brown at 8,100. Jameson Williams is questionable coming into this game. And, don't believe what you saw last week with Tampa. They are still a massive pass funnel. They cannot stop the pass. The Rams did everything they could to stop Amon-Ra. I think he's due for a breakout game. Running backs, I'm going 3 this week. I'm going to go with Breece Hall at 7,400. He is really one of the only few workhorses left, and especially with Christian McCaffrey out this week. I love the upside against Tennessee. Second running back, I'm going to go Kyren Williams. He is 6,800. We saw James Cook go off against Arizona. And no Puka Nacua means more opportunity for Kyren. I love him as a pivot from Cooper Kupp. My other receiver is A.D. Mitchell at 4,000. We saw last week he basically Richardson missed him for 2 wide open long touchdowns. I love the upside at $4,000. Demarcus Robinson is also at that price, but is going to be very popular. So that's why I'm going with Mitchell to kind of zag where everyone is zigging. Tight end, I'm going to go Mike Gesicki at 3,100. He had almost missed a touchdown last week, and tight end is really kind of a barren wasteland right now. I'd rather just take the savings. My flex, I have Jordan Mason at 5,200. No Christian McCaffrey. He's going to get all the work. And Minnesota is just not a good team. I love the upside there. And for last, my defense is the Jacksonville Jaguars at 3,100. Deshaun Watson is just lost. That offense is not going anywhere. Jaguars had 3 sacks last week against Miami and almost had a couple picks. And I feel like we have a touchdown incoming from them on Sunday.
All right. Anyone else got anything to add before we go into our survivor picks?
It doesn't have much to do with DFS, but I like the Adonai Mitchell shout right there. I picked him up in, I think, 1 or 2 leagues. I tried to trade for him in another just because I saw he might fly under the radar because he didn't put up a lot of points. But, yeah, he had 2 wide open touchdowns that Richardson missed him on.
Yeah, I'm just going to say with the Detroit game, you got 4 starters. You got 4 starters in the secondary not even playing this Sunday, so you're going to have a really high scoring game there.
All right. I got nothing to add. I'm ready to jump into the survivor picks. So starting next week, this will be a competition with all the viewers. Your survivor picks. We're just kind of warming it up this week because we didn't really put the full court press on advertising it last week or this week. So, but going forward, you're going to be picking a survivor. If you're not familiar with survivor picks, basically you pick a team to win. That's all you got to do is win and you survive. You can't pick that team again the rest of the year. So we'll keep up with it with the predictions in the chats. We're going to play along between us, but this will just be kind of a warm-up week with the 4 of us. Survivor picks. Steven, it was your idea, so let's go ahead and start with you.
So this week I'm going to go the Houston Texans against the Chicago Bears. Man, Caleb Williams did not look good last week. Keenan Allen is possibly going to be out for this game, leaving them shorthanded on offense. And Houston is they are one of the top teams in the NFL. They're going to be playing at home. I don't see a scenario where the Bears win this game. So give me Houston.
Bobby, what say you?
I'm gonna go in a direction that might upset Doug. I'm gonna go with the Ravens over the Raiders here. I think the Raiders are bad and the Ravens are good. I know they lost week 1, but it's as simple as that, really.
I'm going to echo the same thing. That would be my survivor pick if we're now. Granted, next week when we start this, Steven can still pick Houston because we're starting on a clean slate. We can still pick Baltimore, but we're just kind of warming this up. Doug, who would your survivor pick be this week?
My survivor pick is take the Cowboys the beat on the New Orleans Saints this weekend.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, New Orleans isn't what they're doing. Last week, I think last week's game for New Orleans was an aberration. I think Dallas is just going to pound on defense, and it's going to be a long day for Derek.
We could find out that it's after the Chargers-Panthers game, the wisest thing would be just to follow the Panthers around and pick against them.
Yeah, that thought crossed my mind this morning when I was looking over the teams.
Sean says the Eagles will be his survivor. Sean, welcome into the chat over on YouTube. On our Facebook page. The Falcons, their offense, unless we see, I do think they'll move the ball more against the Eagles than they will the Steelers. But you would think Philadelphia at home, Monday Night Football, right after the Phillies just got swept by the Mets at home. I mean, you'd think they're going to be fired up.
Only way I see Atlanta winning is if Jalen Hurts gets hurt, and then they'd have to. Was it Marcus Mariota as the backup? I don't care how bad Cousins is. Mariota ain't it.
Brian just said DirecTV is working, so I guess he finally plugged it in. Is that
no? Yes, there was a massive feud with ESPN and DirecTV. So look, I think he's saying that's resolved now.
Gotcha. Yeah, I kind of figured that because it affected the first weekend ESPN. It was September 1st. Everyone was raising $300 worth of help. Oh, it was because the Florida State game was on ESPN September 1st. I was like, man, you may not want it to be televised. Just calm down. But good for you, Brian. You're finally figured out how to plug that sucker in, so it's working. I mean, look, I don't know how DirecTV works. I know how the rest of them work, but because the rest of them don't hold you to contracts, I know DirecTV used to hold you to contracts, which is the disaster of it. But if someone cancels, man, I just dip out of them and go to find someone who who's actually carrying it. You can get screwed in the overlap. Don't get me wrong. You can get screwed in the overlap where it costs you an extra, $60 that month because you're having to start something on the first and your bill's not due on the old one until the 15th or whatever. But anyways, we move on to the world of the NFL picks. And the National Football League, man, it's not a great slate, but here we go. All right, the world of the NFL picks. Brian says ESPN's been blacked out for 2 weeks. I think Sean O'Toole's been blacked out for 2 weeks. He's living the life good, man. He's drinking. Look, man, he's got. I know Michigan was a disappointment, but you gotta like what you see out of the Lions so far.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody's that shocked that Michigan's going to have kind of it's not going to be a full blown rebuild, but they're not. Texas to me may be the best team in the country.
Yeah.
We'll find out in the end, but they're definitely going to be one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the country. And to lose to them really just Michigan had some things that didn't go their way, but I don't think that's necessarily any kind of a paper bag type situation over your head when you lose to that Texas team after losing so many guys to the NFL draft.
Yeah.
All right, NFL picks. See, I don't remember who. I guess we'll start with Steven. Steven, what you got?
So I'm targeting one of the ugliest games of the weekend. Give me the over in the Washington Commanders and New York Giants game. The total's currently sitting at 43.5. That is a 1:00 game tomorrow. Jaden Daniels looked phenomenal in week 1. Like he rushed for 88 yards, 2 touchdowns. They have a lot of talent on that offense. I mean, as bad as the Giants look, there still is some talent there. Malik Neighbors look good. I thought and both of these defenses are just bad. I trust the talent on offense to overcome the bad defense.
Doug, what's your pick?
I'm going back to that Detroit game. That +7, I think it's an ugly over/under. Or take a +7. This game's going to be a lot closer. It's going to, like I said, it's going to be a big shootout. And I only see it coming down maybe to the last score.
What are you trying to say? Take the Buccaneers +7.5 against Tampa Bay? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Bobby, what you got?
My first one, I'm going with Colts -3 versus the Packers. I don't think there's any way that Jordan Love should play. Too risky. It's just not worth it this early in the season. And Malik Willis, I love the pick when the Titans got him. And I was happy to watch him play and give him a chance, but he's just not it. I'm
much happier to watch him play in another uniform. I'll just
that's what I'll say. No disrespect to the guy, but
good for
not
you.
A starting quarterback. Not a starting quarterback. And I think the Colts, they hung in there with the Texans for most of the game. Anthony Richardson made some freakish throws. I just think
seems like a trap, doesn't it? Colts are only a field goal favorite.
Yeah, as in like they're trying to bait you into betting on the Colts.
Right. Well, it is in Green Bay, so I'm sure that played into it, but it seems like a trap. It seems too good to be true.
If I'm looking at this Colts team versus the team led by Malik Willis, I'm betting on the Colts. It's that simple. Now, if Jordan Love plays, that could be a different story, but I think that would be malpractice to play him. You're risking serious injury. I mean, he has a sprained MCL or whatever. Not worth the risk. Not at all. Just let him recover.
Okay.
Tank
Give
a week.
J.K. Dobbins plus 52.5, over 52.5 rushing yards against the Carolina Panthers. I just think this is going to be a sloppy game, an ugly game, and he'll get enough carries to get past that mark. Steven, what say you?
Give me the Jaguars -3. Like I said, I don't think the Browns are anywhere near good. That offense is terrible. Jaguars showed some promise last week. I think they should easily cover that 3-point spread.
Doug, what's your pick?
I got the Titans +4 with the Jets. Watching the Jets last week, that Jets run defense is horrible. And I think the Titans have a kind of a sneaky good defense this year, so take the Titans +4.
So Tennessee +3.5 is the line. Try to keep up.
Okay.
Going with the ESPN bet lines, live lines. Bobby, what you got?
I'm taking the Steelers to beat the Broncos and cover the -2.5 point spread. They impressed me with their win over the Falcons last week, and I think the Broncos are going to be really bad this year. Give me the Steelers to cover there.
All right, that is our first head-to-head. No, sir. Give me the Denver Broncos.
Wow.
I'll take the points. They're at home. I don't think you're going to find out that the Steelers are that good. You're going to find out that the Falcons are that bad. Maybe not for the entire season, but right now the Falcons' offense look pathetic. And I do think this is a low-scoring game, obviously. If I can have the 2.5 in my pocket in Denver. Also, here's the other thing. This is the second road game in a row for the Steelers. Now they go out west. I like the idea of having that 2.5 in my pocket. Steven, what you got?
Let me go with I hate to do it, but give me the Carolina +5. We have that West Coast team going east for a 1:00 game. I don't think Carolina is as bad as we saw last week versus New Orleans, and I don't know if the Chargers are as good as we saw last week versus Vegas. So give me the Chargers to cover +5, or the Panthers to cover +5.
I actually don't hate that one. That is one of my favorite rules in all of sports. Coming off a win, West Coast to East Coast, 1:00 kickoff. The Chargers may be rubbing their eyes a little bit. So you're going to take Carolina +5. And Doug, what you got?
I got the Chiefs and the Bengals. So I'm taking the Bengals +6. I think just last week with the way the Bengals play, I think was an aberration. I think Burrow and Bengals are going to play up for this game against the Chiefs.
I wish this game was week 4, week 5, week 6, because I would be all about the Bengals. They just play with their food at the beginning of the season every year. I'm steering clear of that game, but I understand why you're taking it. I just until we hit October, I have a hard time betting on the Joe Burrow-led Bengals. They're just every year they look meh, and then they hit October and they start hitting all full cylinders. Bobby, what you got?
I know the coast-to-coast rule, and I respect it, but I'm going to go with another head-to-head against Steven here. I'm picking the Chargers to cover against the Panthers. I think the Panthers are dreadful. I think Bryce Young is dreadful. I think that's a horrific team, and we saw the Chargers beat up on the Raiders last week. I just think Justin Herbert's too much of a better quarterback than Bryce Young. I think they're outmatched in most positions. I think the Chargers are going to win by about a touchdown.
All right, and let me see what the updated line on my last pick. Make sure it's still there. No, I'm steering clear. Man, people really jumped up. So earlier in the week, I grabbed the Vikings +6, but that line keeps going down. It's 4.5 right now. I'm staying off of it. It's just not good value. So let me move over a little bit and give me. I'll tell you the one I like. Give me the Chargers under 25.5 points, or 21.5. Chargers under 21.5 team total points. If they do win the game, I don't think they score a ton of points. Give me the Chargers under 21.5 team total points. So there you have it. Man, that sucks at that freaking line. That line went all the way down 1.5. When did I make these picks? Wrote them down Thursday? That stinks. Anyways, there you have that. When baseball season ends, I'm going to be doing daily pick shows on the Braves Country Radio. Just don't have time to fit into my schedule right now. So that kind of stuff you'll be able to jump on early in the week, but we just don't have time for it right now. All right. It's time for, I think, everybody's favorite segment.
There's no need to fear.
Stupid
Underdog is here.
Stupid underdog. Stupid underdog.
Stupid underdog picks are here. Bobby, explain to everybody what stupid underdogs are.
So every week, the four of us each pick a team that is a pretty heavy underdog with the betting lines, and we pick them. If they win outright, then the amount of points they are projected to lose by, you get added to your total. If they cover, you get plus 2 points, if I'm not mistaken. If they do not cover, you get minus 2 points.
That is right. So you're picking a loser to be a winner, and you don't have to have the win outright. If they cover the spread, you're going to get points, but that's kind of the game. So that way someone's not constantly just going freaking bonanza and not losing any points, because someone could always just keep picking a team that's 42 points underdog, and if they hit it one time, they could win the whole thing. So that was the one caveat. If you used to listen to this George Plaster's show back in the 1990s in Nashville radio, which is where I essentially got the idea, that's the difference between my rules and his rules, is that because I listen to the show all the time, I'm like, dude, if someone just sat there and just kept banging the freaking the big time underdog and not have any repercussions, all you need is one, maybe two to hit all year long. All right. So the way we do this, present the pictures once again. Here we go. So right now, Bobby has 6 points. I have 11.5 points in the positive. Doug and Steven are -4 apiece. Steven, I'll let you go first. If y'all are still tied next week, remind me and Doug can go first. Steven, what is your first? Now, the difference between stupid underdogs and all the other picks that we do, if Steven picks a team, I can't pick them. There you have it. All right, Steven, you can go college or pro. What is your stupid underdog pick?
Doug has talked about this game enough, and I have a feeling he was going to go there, so I'm going to take his pick. Give me Tulane plus 12. I think they have a chance to upset Oklahoma today.
Tulane. I knew you were going there. Doug's gonna punch you in your soul the next time he sees you. Okay, so what's the line at right now? 12.5. So Steven will go 12.5. Tulane Green Wave. Steven, your survivor pick, it was what? Remind me. Houston. Doug, what was your survivor pick again?
Dallas.
Okay, that's right. And then Bobby and I had Baltimore. Okay. Doug, what is your stupid underdog?
Luckily with Steven around, I have a backup for my underdog pick. I'm going to go ahead and take North Texas plus 10 I mentioned earlier against Texas Tech.
What time was that game again? Do you remember?
North Texas, I want that's a 3:30 game.
North Texas plus 10 noon kickoff. Good job, Doug.
Thank you.
3.5 hour difference. All right. North Texas plus 10. And Bobby, that goes to you, my man. You are 10 points in front of them. You're 5 behind me. Still a long way to go. Where are you going?
Well, I'm sorry to do it to you, but I'm going to go with Memphis as a 6.5 point underdog against Florida State. They've looked good so far this season. Granted, they played North Alabama and Troy, but Florida State, as long as they have DJU out there, they're very beatable, I think. And, Memphis has had this one circled on their calendar for a while because, as you've mentioned, this is the game they had that in the deal with Mike Norvell going to Florida State. So I think Florida State's very vulnerable right now. They also have a game next week they could be looking ahead to against Cal, who looked good against Auburn last week. So I think Memphis has a chance to beat them.
All right, so we've got that. Let me double check the the spread on Big Ten games. Where are we at? 3:30. So give me the Purdue Boilermakers for my stupid underdog. They are getting 7.5, and I like the chance for them to win outright. I think Purdue's got a very good chance to upset Notre Dame. I don't think Notre Dame is going to be able to come from behind, and they may fall behind early in this Purdue game. I just don't think they're built for it. This is a team that, yeah, they looked pretty impressive against Texas A&M, but I think you'll find out today that Texas A&M isn't all that it's cracked up to be. So give me Purdue at home is the key thing, and there we go with that. All right, last segment of the day before we have to jam out of here, the locks and the one big thing. Steven, what is your lock of the day and your one big thing?
I've been trying to get away from it. I could try to find something else, but I can't. Jacksonville -3. I think they win by at least a touchdown over Cleveland. I don't see how the Browns can really get anything going on offense.
All right.
And
your one big thing?
One big thing. Week 1 was a week of favorites in the NFL. Most of them won. I think we're going to see the opposite in week 2. Going to be a lot of upsets.
I like it. Doug, what is your lock and your one big thing?
My lock is take the Cowboys to beat the Saints. I think the Cowboys are just going to spend all day stomping on them. Take that at least a touchdown win.
All right, Dallas -6 is your lock, and your one big thing?
One big thing, I'm going back to it. If anybody listening, watch that Miami Ohio game. It's just classic old-fashioned football. Miami Ohio is, I think, a much improved team, and I think it's going to be a lot better game than people give it.
All right, Bobby, what is your one big thing?
My one big thing first?
Give me your lock and then your one big thing. Sorry.
My lock, I'm going to go with Boston College versus Missouri going over 52.5 points. I think either way the game script plays out, it's going to go over, whether that be a Missouri blowout or a high-scoring shootout. I think it goes over 52.5. And then my one big thing, the Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals, my team, they need to get Marvin Harrison Jr. the ball this week. I understand last week we saw the Bills defense shut down Tyreek Hill. They're good at mitigating deep plays. That's what they do best. They have the 2 high safeties. This week they play a team that is weak at cornerback and gets beat on the perimeter a lot. You have to get the ball to your superstar rookie wide receiver, or I'm going to start getting worried. I don't want to be worried because it's Marvin Harrison Jr., but get him the ball, please.
All right, my lock of the weekend. Going back and forth on this, but I think I'm going to stick with. You know what? Give me Utah State under. It's now 13.5 points. Utah State. They're playing Utah. I think it's just going to be a sloppy game. It'll be like a freaking 17-10 type win for Utah. Utah's quarterback Rising probably won't play, but I don't think Utah State's going to move the ball very well against Utah. So give me Utah State. And the end of my one big thing would be Notre Dame's going to lose again, and the whole damn college football world is going to be put on notice that Notre Dame needs to join a conference so your season isn't over in September like it would be with Florida State. In theory, it's not happening. But in theory, if Florida State goes out and runs the table in the ACC, they could still find their way into the playoffs. But when you're an independent and you play the schedule like you're playing right now, you're going to lose to Purdue and you're going to be out of the playoffs. Y'all, great job. Thanks to everybody who is tuning in, and we will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
are live in Tallahassee, the capital of the great state of Florida.
Hyperbole is done. Now we can finally play the game.
There's no law against scalping tickets in this part of the country, and premium prices have been paid.
It is the third Saturday in October, and the show is on one more time in Knoxville, Tennessee.
All right, here we go. 56-yarder. Does not have the leg. And Chris Davis takes it in the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game.
They're still in deep trouble at midfield. They tackle him. The ball is still loose as they get it to Rogers. They give it back now to the 30. They're down to the 20. Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. He's going to go into the end zone. But the bands are out on the field. There were flags all over the place. The most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heartrending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California.
In trouble in the backfield, wants to throw now, and he's going to go deep. And I mean deep, and I mean touchdown, Florida! Tyree Cleveland in a miracle finish. A Hail Mary that's full of grace for the Gators. It's a 31-30 game, and what does Nebraska do?
I have not seen the kicker come on the field, and I don't think he's coming on the field. Tom Osborne made this decision a long time ago. He's decided to go for two and take his shot and win, and I commend him for it.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska. Incomplete.
Here come the Seminoles of Florida State. One of the great traditions in college football. And Chief Osceola ready to get it started. College football. A matchup from the state of Florida.
Moody flush, throws it down. Caught by Boston College. I don't believe it.
Buck back, third down on the 8. In trouble. Got a block behind him. Gonna throw and a run. Complete to the 25. To the 30. Lindsey's got 35, 40. Lindsey's got 45, 50, 45, 40. Run, Lindsey. 25, 20, 50, 10, 5. Lindsey stop. Lindsey stop. Lindsey stop. Well, I can't believe it. 92 yards, and Lindsey really got in a foot race. I broke my chair. I came right through a chair, a metal steel chair with about a 5-inch cushion. I broke it. The booth came apart. The stadium fell down. Now they do have to renovate this thing. They'll have to rebuild it now. I didn't mean to beg Lindsey to run, but I had to. You know, this game has always been called the world's greatest cocktail party. Do you know what is going to happen here tonight and up at St. Simon's and Jekyll Island and all those places? Man, is there going to be some property destroyed tonight.